Well, good morning, everybody. How are we doing out there? Are you fired up? Because I'm fired up. Are you fired up? Let's go. Do we have any LSU fans in the audience by chance? Don't drink with those guys. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not a good proposition. I like it. Go Bama, too. Crimson Tide. I think that's right. I don't know football. I'm not great. So welcome to day number 2. We are super excited to bring you out to the always sunny, never rainy, never windy, never cold San Diego. So a lot of you guys that are here for the first time actually don't believe that normally on Saturdays we do host golf and sailing and all of these fun events, but apparently San Diego can't take a half-inch of rain without canceling everything. So unfortunately sailing is canceled tomorrow and golf is canceled tomorrow, but I will be hosting one hell of a blowout brunch all day long, or from 8 to 1, whatever it says on the agenda. So, or before my voice goes out completely. So, I don't know how to do this. Is this thing locked up on me, guys? Look, there we go. So a big thank you for all of these wonderful canceled events, to all of these great sponsors. Let's hear it for these guys. Thank you so much. We could not do it without all of your support, and we love you all to death. Thank you. And all right, so having fun and networking, that's what we're all here to do, especially these LSU boys. And I can't read that. Can anybody read that? I'm gonna run over here. I'm on the move, guys. So the leaderboard is here. We're winning, and I see that we have a 3-way tie right now between Brett, David, and Mike Wilson. Darren Nowak's coming up. Cameron Mott's right behind him. Guys, we got some money on the line here. First place, $500 gift card. Second place, $250. Third place, $100. Fourth through 10, $50. And I think I can get more money out of Curtis since we're canceling all of those events too. So work on that app, get after it, have some fun with it. Don't ask me the codes. I'm apparently wrong every single time. And let's just go through today. So all of the red, of course, represents everything that we are canceling and changing around. So this morning we're going to have an awesome keynote address that is sponsored by EDF and MAN, and we're going to be bringing Chris George up here shortly, the better Chris as he is known throughout the industry. From 10 to 11-ish, we'll get you guys a break in there, we'll do the keynote, and then we've got a great panel from 11 to 12. This is, you know, for originators, by originators. We're really excited to get some active client engagement, get a lot of questions on that panel. Then we'll break for lunch, which will not be outside now. It'll be in the Edge right across the way. And from 1 to 5, we invite everybody, you know, your vendor partners to network with your clients across the way in the Encore, so that'll be open for you. I also believe the bar downstairs will be open for you if you guys wanted to do some networking there. But we are doing some individual client and moderator only sessions where we've broken people into peer groups. So every client has been assigned to a peer group, and there's 2 sessions. You'll be attending one of those 2 sessions, and they're all printed out by the registration table, I think on the opposite side of these doors, and they're also in the app. But if you get confused like I do, just find Ian Miller and ask him or any of the rest of the event team. So that should be really, really exciting. And there's Ian. Why don't we stand up and give Ian and his team an applause around here. So Ian, did I hit all the high notes? Am I okay now? And then tonight, again, we have to move, again, from the beautiful 4th floor outdoor bar. Boy, my voice is going. We will be downstairs at the 207 bar for dinner and cocktails. I don't know if there's an LSU game on or not, but maybe we can try to find one. And then again, tomorrow, unfortunately, we have all of these cancellations, but I promise I'll be working overtime to make brunch absolutely awesome. And Ian, that is 6 to 10 o'clock tonight for cocktails and dinner. 6 o'clock, bar 207, and again, I bet we could even trick them into keeping it open for us a little bit. So I'd like to bring up our keynote speaker. Chris George is the founder, CEO and president of CMG Financial. He has over 30 years of mortgage banking experience. Doesn't look like it though. I mean, maybe 15 tops. And the man has just been a tireless advocate for the mortgage banking industry. He has served as the chairman of the MBA in the past. He's a current board member. He served as the chairman of the California MBA, current board member. He is on way too many advocacy councils, task forces, boards for me to even cover, but basically what I'm saying is the guy's awesome and he really knows what he's talking about. So join me in putting your hands together for Chris George.
Thank you. All right. Good morning,
once again, everyone. Chris George, guys. This guy's good here.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. You know, for people that are drinking Bloody Marys, that's pretty anemic. So let's try that one more time. Good morning, everyone. Way better. Way better. I don't know about that, but we'll see how that goes. So you stay there. First of all, let me say thank you to Curtis and Phil for having me here this morning. It's an honor to be back in front of you all. You know, world events make me want to stop for a minute and think about how fortunate all of us are. You know, we have our own problems here in the United States for sure, but nothing in comparison to what's going on over in Europe. And if you would, I would ask you to join me for just a few seconds of silence. Maybe we could give some good thoughts or prayer to the good folks in Ukraine. It's hard to imagine what they're going through. And the power of positive thoughts collectively kind of focused on something does things. And so if you'll spend just a few seconds and think about those folks and what they're going through. Okay, thank you. That's okay. So today represents the first real speech I have given since COVID back in March of 2020. It's kind of fitting I'm back in front of you guys to repeat what you've already heard. I'm Chris George. I'm the president and CEO of CMG Financial. We're a $30 billion a year company, independent mortgage banker, celebrating my 40th year in the mortgage industry. I, in fact, did join when I was 19 years old, and every year of the 40 years is shown on my face and in the color of my hair. I am the former chairman of the Mortgage Bankers Association. I hope you enjoy what I have to say today. If, for some reason, you do not like what I'm saying today, then my name is Dave Stevens. All right, what you will not learn from me today is much about hedging or pipeline management or capital markets or where the market is or where it's going. There are plenty of others who are far more talented and informed to talk about those subjects. Maybe my son AJ, or Curtis or Phil, or maybe Rob Chrisman, to name a few. Well, maybe not Rob. So here's the deal. For a short period of time, Rob used to work for me. And I do recall interviewing him when he came to work for me back then. I asked him, I said, Rob, what is your greatest weakness? He said, I think I'm way too honest. I said, well, gee, Rob, I don't think honesty is a weakness. And he said, yeah, well, Chris, I don't give a crap what you think. And I say crap a lot. Rob did tell me something on the last day of his employment with me, something I will never forget. He said, Chris, it doesn't matter whether you are rich or whether you are poor, as long as you have money. And I said, all right, I understand that, Rob. I get where you're at. What you will learn today is how to make more money, how to get promoted, how to become indispensable, and how to learn how to learn. Mostly, I'm going to talk to you about life, mine, and the lessons I have learned and paid so dearly for, so you can just get the reward and not pay as much of a price that I've paid. These are CMG lessons for sure. They are MCT lessons that I've learned from your leadership. And most importantly, they are RJG lessons, Robert Joseph George, lessons from my father. So let's go back to high school. One of my first lessons I learned, I didn't learn in school. You see, if you're good at these things in high school, you're going to have a pretty good experience there. So if you're good looking, or if you have good grades, or if you're good at something like sports or music or instruments or musical instruments or acting, if you're good at any of these things, then your high school experience is going to be good. That was not me. I was not good at any of those things, and by the time I was in my sophomore year, I was trying to drop out of high school. My dad asked me not to. As a matter of fact, he begged me not to. You see, I'd found something far more important than school. I found work. And not too much longer after learning how much I liked to work, I discovered this wonderful concept called overtime. From his time as far back as I remember, my father said to me and my 5 brothers and sisters, hard work works. Sure, throw in some smart work and you can really go places, but to start you have to learn how to work hard. Not harder than the other guy. Nope. Harder than you did the day before. If yesterday was 10 hours, today is 12. If you work 7 days straight, push it to 10. You are in a contest against your greatest enemy, yourself. Most of us screw ourselves up because we either have too much ego or too little. We're being too hard or we're being too soft. We're going too fast or we're going too slow. More times than not, when I look back at the biggest mistakes I made in my career, I am to blame for either making them in the first place or making them worse once I've discovered them. I let me ruin me. Hard work works. While all my friends were out enjoying their lives after we got out of high school, I worked. I paid my dues. I put in my time. I did not deviate. You have heard that the devil's in the details. You know, read the small print. I'm telling you that the devil is also in the distraction, the shiny, bright object. This thing. You want to see how addicted we are to our phones? I officiated a wedding a few years back where the folks getting married wanted no social media whatsoever during the wedding reception, and they hired an outside company for you to be able to put your cell phone in this packet, and they locked it all up. I'm here to tell you, it was like Doc Brown in Back to the Future when he starts talking about 1.21 gigawatts, where he starts freaking out. People were freaking out. You want to take away my phone? Are you out of your mind? A whole group of people said, if you take away our phone, we are leaving the wedding. My advice to you, try to wean yourself off a little bit from this thing. It's the electronic leash. I live on a 1,000-acre ranch where there is no cell service whatsoever, and it is as close to heaven as you can get. This thing stymies your creativity. It's a crutch. It affects your ability to communicate. I actually had one guy come up to me a few years ago after I said that line in another speech, and he said he believes that face-to-face communication is a waste of time. He said video teleconferencing is way better than face-to-face, than a face-to-face meeting. And email and text are the better form of communication. I said, dude, are you married? And he said, no, but he had a serious girlfriend. I said, well, when you want to ask her to get married, try texting her. See how that works out for you. Hard work works. There's a quote that goes like this. I think a man only needs one thing in life. He just needs someone to love. If you can't give him that, then give him something to hope for. And if you can't give him that, just give him something to do. By the way, it's never too late to start working hard. You do this and you will beat everyone else. We live in a world that has become really way too easy. Work hard. It'll pay dividends. So let's talk about the 5 C's of credit. Okay, you all know what they are. There's credit, there's collateral, capacity, conditions, and of course character. Now let's talk about some other important life C's. Let's start with the obvious one, competence. I've always said I am the dumbest guy in the room. Why? What does that do? It allows me to ask all of the questions that everyone else is afraid to ask. I know more because I ask those questions. What are you doing to invest in yourself? Both physically and mentally, how are you bettering yourself? Are you attending events like these, where you can network and learn from others? Look, I hate losing, but I can live with getting beat, and there's a difference. When I lose, it's on me. I wasn't either prepared, or I underestimated the problem, or maybe the person, but when I am beat, it's because the other person is just flat out better than me. I can live with that because I know I grow and I learn. Success only teaches you what you want again. Failure teaches you how to get there. Communication. You've heard the golden rule, right? Not he who has the gold makes the rules, but do unto others as they would have done unto you. In other words, treat folks the way that you want to be treated. That is great, but it isn't the best rule, and here's why. You see, it presupposes that other folks want to be treated the way I want to be treated. I like face-to-face communication. Maybe you like written communication. If I treat you the way I want to be treated, it isn't the best way to communicate with you my thoughts or ideas. That makes sense? So we created this thing called the Platinum Rule. Do unto others as they would have done unto themselves. In other words, treat others the way they want to be treated. But then, how do you know how others want to be treated? Ask. Customer service is at abysmal levels in America. Why not start asking your customer how they want to be treated, how they want to be communicated with, how often and when? One of my standard lines is, with the last name George, it's incumbent upon me to be curious. So, ask. Let's talk about being curious. Of the who, what, where, when, why, and how, ask why. Why will give you a sense of how we got here and why we are doing it in the first place. Why breaks up the status quo and gets rid of the dumb rules. Why is self-examining? What can I do differently to make this a better place, a better family, a better relationship? You guys know that the 3 most powerful words you can say in a relationship is I love you. The second most 3 powerful words, maybe you're right. Right? I didn't say you were right. I just said maybe you're right. Confidence. I'm pretty sure that you cannot go through life without some form of confidence. You're not going to get a job. You're not going to go out on a date. You're not going to get married. And you for sure won't have a baby without a little bit of confidence. Reminds me of a story I read a while back. There was this super successful magazine publisher. And when he was in high school, his mom said she wanted him to take the SAT. He had terrible grades and he fought her on it. And he finally said, okay, Mom, I'll do it. After she forced him to take the SAT, he came back with a score of 1,480 out of 1,600. His mom asked him if he had cheated, and he said, no, I didn't. But he realized he was smart. And he worked hard in his senior year, got good enough grades to get into a pretty decent university. After he had graduated from college and was into his career, his high school reached out to him and said there had been a mistake, that his score was accidentally switched with another person's score, and he actually had gotten 700 on his SAT. But it didn't matter anymore. He had crossed over to the confidence side. I was the same way. When I flunked my way out of high school, I didn't know anything. I was horrible at every single subject, especially math. So, where do I think my future was? Thankfully, it was in the mortgage industry. And not by choice. Nobody comes here on purpose, especially on the retail production side of things. The gravitational pull of this industry is significant. What you put in is what you get out. And for me, I just really wanted folks to like me. And frankly, I didn't really care if I made any money. That turns out to unintentionally be a pretty good business philosophy. Because if you make raving fans out of your customers, they tell their friends, and their friends tell their friends. I never had to advertise once as a loan officer. I was 100% referral because I was just trying to get people to like me, and I did everything I could to that end. Confidence. Don't leave home without it. Community. You know, we all get paid way more than we're entitled to get paid. I know I do, and I don't take it for granted. I have tried to think of many ways to give back to the industry, like serving with the MBA and the California MBA. This industry has been so good to me and my family and the families of everyone who works for and or has ever worked at CMG. And that light, we created the CMG Foundation, which many of you know supports the cancer support community, the Gary Sinise Foundation, and the MBA Open Doors Foundation, in which we are their largest contributor. To give unconditionally to a complete stranger is intoxicating. If we are to be judged as a caring, thoughtful society, we have to be judged on how well we treat the least fortunate among us. Some other time, I'm going to tell you about what we're doing to help solve America's homeless problem. No help is too small. My dad used to say, how does a man start a journey of 1,000 miles? With the first step. How does he complete that journey? One step at a time. So I'm going to give you an assignment. It's an easy one. Every day I want you to do this. Every day I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, what am I grateful for today? The next C is children. Whew, yes, children. I have 4 boys. All 4 of them work for the company. Many of you know my oldest son, AJ, who's incredible at what he does. My second son, Phil, is our marketing manager. My third son, Harrison, is outside of Boise as a loan officer. And my youngest son, Adam, is down here in San Diego finishing up his school as a part-time loan officer. My kids have taught me a lot about how to be a better leader, how to slow down, how to listen. They've also showed me how to have a more open mind, even before they legalized marijuana in California. My dad told me and my brothers and sisters that life is one lesson after another, each lesson preparing me for a new and more difficult challenge. When our son Harrison was born, he was born with a small hole in his heart, and my wife, Teresa, and I flipped out. It turns out that this thing called a ventricular septum defect is pretty common, and it healed up over time. But that problem prepared us for what was in store with our youngest son, Adam, who at 7 months old had a liver transplant. What makes this even more of an incredible story is that the organ donor was my wife, Teresa. It's a longer, feel-good story for another time. They're both fine. But I can tell you this, when I was walking around the hallways of UCSF Medical Center in San Francisco, while your son is going through a 21-hour operation, and your wife is on another floor going through a 19-hour operation, you learn a little bit about problem solving. You also learn that not all things are in your control. And sometimes you just have to believe in something more than you can see. I think Adam's operation prepared me for 2008 and the near death of our company. Lessons are life, and life are about lessons. The next C is courage. Let me tell you a little quick, another story. The weekend after Thanksgiving, 2008, our company was down to 113 employees. We had shut down every branch in the United States. And I was in my office with 2 lawyers and an accountant planning to file bankruptcy. Kim Callis, my second in command, now coming up on 25 years with me, had developed our Armageddon plan. We were going to take the company down to 10 people. We were going to save 1 warehouse line. I was going to go back into sales, both retail and wholesale, and she was going to go back to processing, underwriting, doc drawing, and funding. The week before this, however, I had one of the most amazing experiences in my 40 years in the mortgage industry. I had several employees come into my office and tell me that I didn't have to pay them their salary any longer. You remember the scene in the movie Rudy, where each one of the Notre Dame players are coming into Coach Levine's office and laying their jerseys on his desk and say, "This one's for Rudy"? This was that sort of thing. One after another of several of the diehard CMG folks kept telling me that they could go on without a paycheck in their way of helping out. One of them works for you. His name's Ben Cole. Courage is to step into the fray and put your own self at risk to help another. In part, it is what saved our company. So thank you, Ben. After that, in a way to honor Ben's sacrifice, we decided to never pay him again for anything. That's perhaps why he worked for MCT now. Courage. Courage is the act of not thinking before you leap and learning how to fly on the way down. Consistency. So if competence creates confidence, then confidence creates consistency. I'll do it slow. If competence creates confidence, then confidence creates consistency. The great mortgage trainer Todd Duncan told me that. How do you become more consistent then? Slow down. Yeah, slow down. Multitasking is overrated. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. You don't believe me? Try buttoning up your shirt in the morning fast. You'll see what I'm talking about. Consistency is a frame of mind. Little big things. There's a book about leadership. Leadership lessons learned while training to be a Navy SEAL. What they teach you is how to make it through Hell Week. If you let your mind trick you into saying that there's no way I'm going to last the whole week at this pace, then you ring out and you're on the bus on your way home. But those that survive know how to break the job down to the most simplest of terms. I only need to run 4 more steps, or to that rock, or 10 more seconds. And then once you get there, you do it again and again and again. We live by the keep it simple, stupid motto. Simple things are easy to explain. Simple things are easy to replicate, and simple things are easy to fix, and they always break. One last thing about consistency. Wake up. Some of you are sleeping on skills and talents that can make you a millionaire. Get busy living or get busy dying. And you know what movie that's from. Creativity. We need to bring back the innovations to this industry, innovations that help customers, not hurt them, especially the low to moderate income folks. We've lost ground on home ownership for African Americans and are losing ground with many other people of color with regards to our home ownership rate. What have we done? We created a product that helps folks crowdsource their down payment from their friends and from their family. We were ridiculed when we did this, like another one of those crazy, toxic mortgage products. What has occurred since we rolled out Home Fund It? $235 million in LMI lending, ranking us #1 as the best affordable lender in America. Thank you. The average loan to value on these loans is 94%, meaning they pay a little less MI. And they have a slightly lower payment, a little more initial equity. More importantly, they are in the beginning stages of developing wealth, and they save a couple of bucks on their taxes. By the way, guys, the regulators are not going to be the product innovators, nor will the agencies, nor will the legislators. It is up to us to be creative in a sensible and sustainable way. If you have an idea on a product, bring it to me. If it has legs, I'll put the necessary capital and resources behind it. You have my word on that. Lastly, we talk a lot about this C word lately, and that's COVID. COVID was the great awakening force, sort of like the villain Thanos. COVID randomly kills. Vaccinated, unvaccinated, masked, not masked. I'm not trying to wade in the political quagmire of debate here. I'm just saying that COVID, like the other C word, cancer, teaches us a very big life lesson. Time here is not guaranteed. We lost a loan officer to COVID who was fine on Friday, and she died on Sunday. She was 52 years old. I mean, seriously, guys, for just a second, look around. If this were the last 10 minutes on the planet, this isn't where you would be. You would be with your family and friends who are beckoning you to be with them, begging you to be with them. Time is really the only commodity you actually own. It's running out for all of us. When it's done, it's done. And when you come to the end, we're begging for a little bit more. It reminds me of the final story about my dad. So my father died in October of 2014 from complications from dementia and Alzheimer's. For the last month of his life, he was in hospice, and for the most part, slept the entire day. My routine was to leave work around 4:30 every day and drive the 30 minutes from my office to Martinez, California, where my dad's house is, and sit with him and his wife for a couple of hours, and drive home. Most of the time, he would be asleep on the couch next to me, and I would eat some dinner and watch TV. One night, a few days before he passed, he woke up, and out of the blue, he asked me if I remembered the time we all went fishing up at Fallen Leaf Lake. We did one vacation every year as a family. We went to the same place at the same time every year, a small lake just outside of Lake Tahoe. My dad was an avid fisherman, which is to mean he wasn't very good at fishing, but he loved getting out and trying his luck. And every year, one day, he would get all 6 of his kids up at 5 o'clock in the morning, fill our thermoses with hot cocoa. We would hike up to the river that had a small pool below a bridge, and we would go there for about 2 hours every year. And every year, we would catch absolutely nothing. This particular morning, however, we're all sitting there cold and waiting for the obligatory 2 hours to elapse when the silence of the high Sierras was broken by the sound of a large truck going up the hill. It came to the stop on the top of the bridge that was right above us. We looked up, and a man got out of this old rickety truck with a tank on the back, and he swung a chute, like you see on the back of like a cement truck, over the side of the bridge. And just like that, he stocks that river with 10,000 starving trout from the trout farm. It was like shooting fish literally in a barrel. At one point, my brother Mike had waded into the river and was just throwing fish up onto the bank. We came back from the cabin with stringers of fish. I have pictures of all of us holding a stringer, just a load of fish, and my dad smiling the biggest smile I think I can ever remember. By the way, catching that much trout on vacation means you're going to have trout waffles, trout sandwiches, trout stew. You just eat up to a lot of trout. He recounts this story to me that night, however, with perfect clarity. Not a single mispronounced word, not even a pause or a stutter. He said it was one of the best times of his life. It was one of the best times of mine as well. He then fell back asleep, and he never woke up again, and he passed away a few days later. It struck me then, as it does now, telling you all this story, that the fabric of our lives are our memories. That the cars and the houses and the stuff all take a back seat to the most significant life memories when we are coming to the end of it. I miss him and my mom every day. Time. Time. It is running out for all of us. Please, don't let someone waste yours. Please, don't waste yours yourself. If you're not supposed to be here today, then don't. If you're supposed to be someplace else, be there. I'm here because this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, right now, here with you all. Make a conscious decision to wring out every second of your life. Make the memories of a lifetime. As for me, my time here with all of you is up. Thank you so much for having me. I'm still wanting to hear what I have to say. Remember, work hard, play hard, live a full life. Again, thanks for having me here today. Take care of yourself, and God bless you all.
Let's hear it for this gentleman. Thank you so much, sir.